I'd like to call this Monday, November 10th, regular council meeting to order. Everybody please rise for a moment of silence. Let's remember all of those who passed away during the month. Please salute the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dylan, you want to do roll call, please?
Mr. Gerard. Mr. Devine.
Here.
Mr. Pezza.
Here.
Ms. Cullen. Ms. Rodriguez.
Here.
Ms. Trinnell. Mr. Linsky. Mr. Di Giuseppe.
Here. Okay, before we get started, I just want to remind everybody on Friday, November 28th at 6:30 p.m. On Mill Street and at the Wharf, enjoy an old-fashioned Christmas tree lighting and caroling at the Wharf. Make sure you bring your cameras so you can take a photo with Santa on his sleigh. So I'd like to thank everybody, Michael Gormley, Joanna Snyder, and the organization that's putting this together. I know they worked very hard to make our tree lighting a success this year, so I want to thank them. And also, don't forget, our Christmas parade will follow on the Saturday the 29th. I guess it starts at noon or 1 o'clock, so mark your calendars. It should be a nice event, especially both events. The tree lighting's supposed to be special this year, and the Christmas parade, I know Ellen and her gang does an outstanding job down there.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock, so the Christmas parade starts at 1 o'clock. Okay, at this time I want to bring up Councilman Pezza and Bill Pezza from Raising the Bar for a couple. We want to recognize a couple people for their outstanding efforts in town. Bill, you want to come up here?
I can do my part from here, and I'll bring the other people up there, if that's all right.
Wherever you want to go.
Okay. This is on, I guess?
Yes.
Okay.
You got your mic?
Yep. Thank you. As you know, Raising the Bar has a nucleus of about 20 to 25 people, dedicated, talented people, who meet a couple of times a month to work on specific projects. And then we have a couple of hundred people who come forward when we put the call out for volunteers to do bigger things, and everyone is welcome. And we say that in all of our postings on Facebook. Everyone is welcome to participate. While we do some of the things you see visibly, we have people working simultaneously on a lot of things: business recruitment, promotion, public relations, grant writing, website development, fundraising, all kinds of things, gardening and beautification projects. I wish we could recognize all of those volunteers because they do so much behind the scenes. Our message to volunteers is that we ask them to do only those things they enjoy and give only the amount of time they're willing to give. And with that, sometimes people are afraid to get involved because they say, well, what's going to happen to me? How much do I have to do? Do what you want to do. Do what you're comfortable doing. And that works very well for us. Tonight, however, I'd like to single out 3 individuals and ask them to come forward who did an exceptional job with our facade grant program in the Mill Street area. So at this time, if we could bring up, I'm going to say something about them when they get there, but if we could bring up Robin Boutray, Rich Snyder, and Michael Gorman to the front of the room, please. It was almost a year ago when our Landmark Towns representative, Barbara Swanda, made us aware that there was a possibility of DCED providing facade grants. We had a breakfast meeting with the regional director. She told us what we had to do. We did a mailing to every property owner in our designated commercial district. We had a public meeting. People had to sign petitions saying they were interested. We had to prove to the state that there was enough local interest to do it. Then we waited a few weeks before the state finally said, you got the grant. And that's when these people kicked in. We created a thing called the Design Assistance Team, and the 3 of them all bring unique skills to the team. Michael is a design person. He designed half the stuff in this building at one time or another. Michael is a person who gives you artistic input on your design. Robin is a historic preservationist. She's certified with a certification in that. And Rich is a builder. So we were able to provide people design assistance with how should it look historically, how should it be preserved, what colors should we use, what materials we can use, and Rich could advise them on that. It worked so smoothly that by the time all these people went to HARB, and they all had to go to HARB for approval, they sailed through. So, and I want to particularly mention Robin, because after that initial work is done of deciding what the building is going to look like, she's the one that had to do all the bureaucratic stuff, making sure the paperwork was filed, that all the checks were canceled, that all the receipts lined up, and it was a laborious task, back and forth so many times. She's a remarkable person. They're all remarkable people. As a matter of fact, Rich and Michael and Pete DiAugustino spent how many hours? 8 hours the other day decorating the gazebo in preparation for Santa's arrival next month. People just do a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. So I appreciate the opportunity to single them out, and I want to thank Barbara Swanda again for her work from Landmark Towns on this, and I'll turn it over to Greg.
Thank you, and I'm proud to be able to do this. I had the opportunity, actually, the other night to sit in on a Raising the Bar meeting, and I'd just like to reiterate the work that this group of people is really, really doing. Of course, my father tends to be the face of it, but you really get a sense of how much hard work they're putting in when you're at one of these meetings. And I know Ralph absolutely did already plug this event, but I think it's going to be way more than you can even imagine from the meeting that I was sitting in on with Michael's ideas for the tree lighting. Bigger and better than it's been so far, and it's been great up until this point in time. So it is my pleasure to be able to recognize these three people. First, I'm going to start with Mr. Michael Gorman in recognition and gratitude for Michael's work as a member of the Borough Facade Design Committee and his implementation of the 2014 Borough Commercial District Facade Grant Program. We award you with this lovely plaque. Mr. Richard Snyder, in recognition and gratitude for Richard's work as a member of the Borough Facade Design Committee and his implementation of the 2014 Borough Commercial District Facade Grant Program, Mr. Richard Snyder. Since the Eagles are playing today, I'm going to speak in sports terms. I know that my dad considers this the biggest free agent pickup of the year, and that is Miss Robin Boutray. In recognition and gratitude of Robin's extraordinary work as chairman of the Borough Facade Design Committee and her implementation of the 2014 Borough Commercial District Facade Grant Program, and her contribution as a certified historic preservationist to the revised Historical Architectural Review Board and Design Guides, Ms. Robin Boutray.
Michael, would you like to add anything about the tree lighting and the festivities that will surround that?
Just that it's a bunch of us are working on this. A few of the businesses in town. It's going to involve everything from train ride, possibility of ice skaters, carolers, chestnuts roasting, snow, reindeer, trees set up with platforms. Craft station, letters to Santa while the children are waiting for their ride on the train, all kinds of things. And again, once again, the borough has, we came to them and actually Joanna started this and also Ron Walker, and I just got involved with saying, let's try to take it to the next step, and Rich and Rob and everybody's like, what can I do, whatever, but most importantly, we've had we've come to the borough, we asked them, they're like, we have our blessing, we went to the chief and Merrill, and they all gave us the blessing, so thank you again for letting us do that, and we just continue to put, Bristol higher on the map, which it is. I mean, people
new hopes coming to us to say, like, how you doing this, what are you doing, and this is great. It's just a great town.
Thank
So,
you.
Thank you.
And if you're wondering how we're going to get an ice skater on Mill Street, you don't know Michael Gorman. So check it out. Thank you very much for your support.
Saying that you can't hear us. You want to go see? We're just checking the mics because live, somebody's saying they can't see or hear anything, so we might have to redo it again,
Do it all over
Michael.
Gregory Bennett.
Got your light blinking?
Yes, Mr. President.
Why don't you, we'll do mayor's communication.
Going through mayor's communication, first of all, I'd like to congratulate the individuals that came up for the facade grant. Bristol Mill Street looks excellent. I wish the best for this group, and anything I could do, please, I'm always available. I'd like to thank the president for bringing up the parade and the tree lighting, and for Mr. Pezza bringing up the tree lighting. It's going to be a very great event, the parade following. Also want to let the people know that the fire chief is right now in transit. He was down in Florida doing some training, fire training, so he will not be with us tonight. Tomorrow is a very important day. Tomorrow is Veterans Day, and at 11 o'clock tomorrow at the memorial, there will be a service there. So anybody from Bristol that can make it, come out and thank a veteran. That would be great. And also, there is a motion tonight on the agenda, and I'm hoping this council votes unanimously to support and to authorize the hiring of Mr. Ryan Bunda as a part-time police officer. As we have been saying, we need some people down here. Here we have a great opportunity to get a true Bristolian, born, raised, family here, very good boy, very good gentleman, I should say, and it'd be an asset to have him on our police force. So I hope that this council has a positive vote on that. I'd like to also wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. As the season starts for the holiday season, we start off with Thanksgiving. I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and I hope that everybody has a great time at this tree lighting. I'm looking very much forward to it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. We're going to have public participation, so anybody on this side of the room would like to speak on anything, please go to the podium and state your name. The Eagles are playing tonight. Anybody on this side of the room, go to state your name and address.
All right, Eric Sikowski at 300 Block Lafayette Street. I just came up to say tonight I'd like to welcome everybody to come to our Town Watch meeting. Our first Town Watch meeting was 2 weeks ago. A lot of positive vibes. A lot of people were venting about their frustrations with certain petty crimes in town. But we turned all that into a positive thing. Our meeting is Wednesday at 6:30, Wednesday the 12th at 6:30, and over in our community room. We're going to have neighboring town watches also helping us. We're getting everything organized real fast, and we're doing a lot of good work. We're going to have a lot of good public safety messages. It's completely non-political. I don't care who your name is. Everybody's welcome at the town watch meeting. If people are going to start downing you because you're politically with somebody else, we shut that down. We just want to look out for the safety of everybody. We want to make sure everybody is looking out for each other. We want to make sure the police have the right information so they can more effectively do their jobs, and it's a great positive thing. I mean, if you think anything about safety at all, come on up, give some safety tips for us. Everyone's welcome. Thank you.
Anybody else on this side of the room like to speak on anything? Go to the podium.
Good evening. Ken Bixler, 300 block of Cleveland Street. Last week I saw Councilman Pezza bring up the hole that's on Wilson Avenue at East Circle. I don't know if Mr. Dillon could maybe touch on that. Was that addressed? Because it's not just a hole in the road. There's a gap, like a 6 to 12-inch gap between the surface of the road and the ground. It's only a matter of time before it collapses.
I believe it was. I will check again tomorrow.
It's not, like I said, if it was just a hole and there was ground right below the hole, but there's a gap there, I mean, it's definitely going to collapse eventually. Also, while we're on topic of the roads, last winter I brought up the cracks, like particularly in my street, but I'm sure they're in other streets too. And they're supposed to be sealed somehow with some sealer. I was told that you can't do it in the winter. I had to wait till the spring. Then spring came and they were doing grass, a lot of grass to cut. Now it's fall or almost winter again. Is that on the agenda to be done, or what's happening with the cracks in the roads?
The best time is in the late fall, early winter, when it's cold. That's
When it's cold?
Well, that's when you seal them. That's the best time, okay? And that's on this schedule to be done. Right now, we had to move most of the guys down to the sewer plant to do some work down there. They're going to be back on the leaves shortly, and once the leaves are done, we hope to be able to focus on the tarring of various cracks. I think the Public Works the last few years has done an outstanding job in tarring those cracks, which gives longevity to the roads. So,
Good.
but it's on the agenda.
Okay.
But since we don't have excessive number of employees, we try to attack it when we can.
All right, thanks.
Anybody else on this side of the room would like to speak? That ends public participation. All right, before we get started, I just want to go over to touch on one thing. Every month, we get a report in our packets from the police department, from our chief, that looks like this, and in the report breaks down month by month every officer with a felony arrest, misdemeanor arrest, arrest by officers. So you get this every month. And there's a lot of talk about crime in this town, which isn't positive press. But just let me tell you about our crime right now. I don't know why this is exploding so much. In 2012, there were felony misdemeanor arrests. There were 128. In 2013, there were 111. As of the end of October 2014, there were 62. So it's 50% less than it was in 12, and about 45% less than it was in 14, in 13. Arrests by officers, 128, 111, down to 61. Traffic citations is nothing to worry about. Traffic parking tickets, market enforcement, there was another one I just wanted to run by you. Crimes committed. In 2012, and this is total crimes committed, it could be anything. It could be for hanging on a corner. 595 in 2012, 572 in 2013, 447 in 2014. So our crime isn't out of control in this town. And I'm tired of people saying, oh, we need to do this, we need to do that. We know what's going on. We have a great police department downstairs. We got a good chief that's running the department, and the mayor seems to be on top of it. There's no reason for this town to go into panic mode. We're 50% down in crime than we were 2 years ago and as of last year. So when we talk about Bristol, let's put a positive spin on it instead of always reading how negative things are. That's what I have to say about crime in town.
Can I make can I make a statement, Mr.
Sure.
Council President? I would like to say that our officers are doing a wonderful job. They're put to the test, and they're making it go. And I fully support our police department. I back it. I'll stand in front of it. We have a great police department. It's a police department to be proud of in this town.
Well, I was just trying to make a point, Pat, that,
Yes,
you know,
you're right.
128 serious crimes were down to 62 in
Absolutely.
2014, so.
And these guys are doing it at a testing time.
Short-handed.
Yes.
So, all right. With that, we're going to number 3 on the agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to approve of council minutes 10:13:14, 10:14:14, 10:27:14, 11:3:14. I'd also like to accept the treasurer's report for September 2014, accept the police and DJ's report from October 2014, accept fire chief's report for October 2014, accept the inspections department report for October 2014, accept public works department report for October 2014, accept HARB report and decisions for 10/27/14.
I have a second by Mr. Pez. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 4.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution to purchase 1024 Chestnut Street from HUD. Purchase price $26,250.
Second by Mr. Pez. Any questions or comments? Mr. Devine.
I know that it's only $26,250, but when we're talking about projected tax increase for our next year, I think that buying anything, and that's why I went against the one from Elm Street. The idea of it to buy those properties, demolish them, I understand it. The problem is when you don't have the money to do it, you can't expect to just keep purchasing these properties and not have an impact with our taxes. So, I mean, with that said, I just want to make that statement.
Any other comments? Just for the record, to go on record, the money that we use to purchase these properties, we have about $500 and some thousand in a capital improvement fund, and that's where the money comes from. It doesn't come out of our operating budget.
Well, the question I have for you, Mr. President, is whether that money is in our capital improvement fund or not, it's still taxpayer money, and if we're in a position where we're going to have to raise taxes, I know if I'm looking at it in the sense I give you an analogy with home, right? In my budget at home, I'll have a capital improvement fund that I want to get things done, maybe to my porch or my roof. And if my car breaks down, right? My car breaks down and I have to be able to pay for my car. I take money out of that, what my roof is going to be to keep it going. And this is kind of the same way. Big businesses all the time, if they're doing a budget, you have, capital improvement fund. If they're not going to be able to reach their numbers, that capital improvement fund, that's where they take the money out of. So if you're telling me that that's the only thing that we could do that for, and we have to raise taxes, I would like you to tell me that on the record.
I don't.
Let me add something, and, so I don't want to make it sound like I'm ganging up on anybody.
Okay.
But the main basis of the funding within the capital reserve was the refinancing that the council did a couple years ago. And you're restricted in the amount or the type of expenditures that you can expend the money from. It's controlled by the IRS regulations, and you cannot spend it for operating. And I think that was mentioned specifically in last year's budget, and I'll make sure it gets included again in probably Wednesday's packet when you receive it. But you cannot use those funds for operating.
But just to add, just so you, when we purchased those properties on Chestnut and Elm Street previously, that was purchased with money, taxpayer money that could be used for anything, correct?
I think it was part of the bond issue, so you do not use one-time revenue for operating expenses.
Okay.
So in
So,
my opinion is no, it would not be prudent, and probably you could not legally spend it for that.
okay.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? One no. Number 5.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion, and I'm going to read it, it's a little lengthier than it is on the paper there, but a motion to approve the minor subdivision application of the Bristol Borough School District for tax parcels 4-10-202, 4-10-201-1, and 4-24-1-1, in accordance with an agreement with the Borough of Bristol dated June 15, 2006, according to the plans prepared by Gilmore and Associates Incorporated, dated 2/17/2014, consisting of one sheet subject to the following conditions: compliance with the items set forth in the review letter of the Bucks County Planning Commission dated October 1st, 2014.
Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Rodriguez. Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Number 6.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance establishing a minimum of $100 for fines dealing with code enforcement, housing, streets, and sidewalks.
Do I have a second? Second by Mrs. Rodriguez. Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Number 7.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the hiring of Ryan Bunda as a part-time police officer.
Second by Mr. Polensky. Questions or comments? Mr. Devine.
Yeah, the only question I have is, are there other part-time officers that passed this test, or that we could look at this time, or is this the only applicant that is ready to be authorized by us?
I think there's other applicants, but the chief and the mayor felt, I guess, that this was the right one for the position.
Okay, so we're only looking to hire one part-timer for the rest of this year?
That's for tonight.
Right, for tonight, I'm saying, that's why I'm asking. Are we looking to hire any part-timers for the rest of this year, 2014?
Any more, or are you
Yeah,
asking
any more.
if this one is?
No, any more.
Me and the chief will, excuse me, Mr. President, don't mind me taking the phone. I would like to say that me and Mr. Chief Porter will talk about that, and we'll get back to you by Monday night's budget meeting.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This police officer. And I know your mother will keep you in line.
No, he's already been doing a great job.
Council President, is it possible to bring this new young officer up and
You want to come up,
bring him
Ryan?
up with his mother and whoever else wants to come up with him?
You want to come up and get a picture, Mary?
Come on up, Mary.
Been a police officer part-time in Tullytown for several years.
Hi, Mary.
Mary. Line? Good. That's right.
Everybody smile for you can dance. Big smiles. One more in case you blink. Sorry. Here we go.
All right.
Mr. President, I have something under other business. I'd like to add something to the agenda.
He has a motion to add something to the agenda. Any objections? What's the motion?
The motion is that we waive the $250 fee, that the Bristol Fire Company wants to, is required to pay for the zoning, and as a requirement that we waive this fee so they don't have to pay it, but they'll still be going to the zoning meeting.
All right. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Pez. Any questions or comments? Basically, the fire company's going in front of the zoning board for approval, and instead of them wasting $250, not wasting, it cost us more than that. Mrs. Rodriguez is asking the borough to waive that $250 fee. So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
A quick comment, Mr. President. I'd like to thank this council and thank Mrs. Rodriguez for that, and also like to thank Greg and this whole council for our new part-time police officer, and for Betty for doing that for the fire department. This is a way that we all work together to do a positive thing for this town. I would like to thank everybody here for everything that they've done on Motion 7 and also on their other business, Motion 8. Thank you.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to
Let's
adjourn.
go watch the Eagles.